Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome once again to the Element Live Virtual Academy or Live Virtual Training Classroom. And today we are going to be talking about our third and final installment when it comes to our special snow series on how you guys can actually take all that hard work that your crews have been doing out in the field and potentially freezing their butts off. But more to the point, we're going to now show you guys how you can get those invoices created, generated, and sent over to your customers so that you guys can get paid quickly for that snow removal work that you've been doing. So what exactly are we going to be covering in today's session? Well, let's take a look at our agenda first. First things first, we're going to recap our last two sessions just to kind of put together that big picture and give you guys a good understanding of putting your estimates together, how your estimates can get converted or modified into those jobs for operational purposes, how you can put them into those job groups, and of course, how your crews are going to know what they're going to be doing on any snow event. We're then going to show you how you can turn on your customer portal so that you can share the details of all of your visits with your customers. And again, this is not just an emailing tool, right? The customer portal allows your customers to get visibility into what you've done, how long you were there for, what time you started, what time you finished up. And of course, if you guys are doing, if you're sharing photos with them, they can see the before and after of their actual property or job site when you're actually doing that snow removal service. Next, we're then going to show you guys how you can invoice your customers, right? How you can get those invoices sent over to your customers so they can basically pay your bill and you guys can collect that revenue. And finally, we're going to show you guys how you can manage your payments so that you can keep your accounting software or QuickBooks account or whatever accounting program you might be using in order to keep on top of things, right? And balance out your overall books. So let's hop into it. First things first, let's just do a quick little understanding or get an understanding of why it's important or why you guys should be using Element for snow removal. And yeah, I know I've covered this in our last two sessions, but it never hurts to cover it off a third time. First things first, again, now that we're going to be talking about invoicing today, this is going to be the end result to help improve your overall cash flow, right? And as I've mentioned before in our first two sessions, cash flow is very, very important to you as a landscaping contractor or as a landscaping company in general. We want to understand or we want to provide you guys with an easy means to be able to pull revenue in because we do understand that you have revenue going out, right? You have bills to pay, overhead expenses, right? You've got, of course, labor and payroll fees that you've got to be covering off and paychecks that got to be issued out because, well, let's be honest, nobody works for free. So your crews that have been out in the middle of the night or in the very early morning doing snow removal work in the cold and in the wet and so on and so forth, they deserve to get paid for that hard work. And without cash flow coming into your company, well, reality is they're not going to be too happy and chances are probably pretty good that they might leave. So we want to retain those guys and we want to make sure that they get paid for the hard work that they've been doing. Now, we're also going to be able to provide you guys with GPS and timestamp data on your snow crews to help you with your overall insurance liability. So remember, when your crews are using our Element Crew mobile app for snow removal work, we're going to have pinpoint or GPS verification on where they were when they clocked in, where they were when they clocked out, and so on and so forth. How long were they on the actual job site for? What time did they start? What time did they finish? So on and so forth. All of this is backup, right? And backup meaning if there's ever an instance where somebody is coming at you for a slip and fall claim or what have you, you guys will have GPS verification data on when you were there, what you did, and of course, you've got the photo and file information to kind of give you guys that virtual or visual backup as well to let you know or let your, let's say the individual who may be submitting that claim against you, okay, you can actually prove to them that, yeah, we were there. This is what we looked like when we first started. This is what it looked like when we finished. And here's the actual timestamped information as to how long we were there for. Now, the digital snow binders that we covered off in session 2 are also vital to the actual crew, right? It keeps them more efficient when they're actually doing their work. So they want to be able to see the actual work that's been done or get information of what needs to be done in the event of a snowfall. So, of course, you're going to provide your crews with as much detailed information, visual information, written information, whatever the case may be, whatever types of files that you guys decide to share with your crews. All of this information is going to be contained within that digital binder or within the file section of the actual job itself when your crews log into the Element Crew mobile app. This allows them to get started and to be efficient while they're in the field doing the actual work. So we want to ensure that your crews are not standing around with their thumbs going, or making those phone calls at 2 a.m. to ask you, hey, what are we supposed to do? We know exactly what needs to be done. We're going to provide that information to our crews in the field so that way they can basically work independent, right? We know that they have that they've mobilized, they've shot out to do the actual snow removal work. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that they have all the information that they need to get the job done. So that digital binder with all of that file, photo, and whatever information you guys want to provide them is available to them whenever a snow event actually happens. Now, in session number 2, we also talked about job groups, and we mentioned that when you guys are looking at snow removal, it's best to set up 2 different job groups for all of your snow removal work. All right, and just to kind of recap slightly. Now, we're going to go into a little bit more of a detailed recap in a moment, but let me just kind of get to the point. First things first, when you guys are putting together your actual snow jobs, right? Job group or job groups, plural. Yeah, sorry, it's early. Job groups, okay, allow you to stay organized, right? So what you guys should be doing, just as a quick reminder, set up a standard job group for all of your snow jobs, right? And again, this is for every, excuse me, every customer, whether they be commercial or residential or, entirely up to you. You can set up a standard job group for all of your residential snow removal work or a standard job group for all of your commercial snow removal work, or one job group for everything. It's entirely up to you if you want to report on the entire division, right? Again, but more importantly, you also want to set up a routed job group for the different routes that your crews are going to be tackling, okay, in the course of an actual snow event. Now, that routed job group is going to do 2 things. Number 1, it's going to make it really easy for your crews to be able to determine where they need to go and what job sites they need to cover or clear in the event of a snowfall. And because of that job group or that routed job group, you also have the opportunity to optimize that routed job group. And what I mean by that is you do have the ability to put those jobs into a particular or an optimized route, right? Again, let's keep using that optimized, or let's burn that into your brains right now. But that optimized option will allow you guys to put all of your job sites into an efficient route, okay? We want to maximize on-site work or production time and minimize inefficient or unproductive drive time. And we also want to be able to provide you guys with the separation or the details between those two, right? Let's make sure that we know exactly what we need to do. So again, using a routed job group is going to become your best friend. And finally, okay, the whole reason why you guys should be using Element for snow removal work is it does allow you guys to be able to view or see what's been going on from anywhere at any time. So if you're on vacation or you happen to be away, maybe you're skiing somewhere in Colorado or you're in Blue Mountain in Northern Ontario, whatever the case may be, okay, you will be able to see how your crews are actually doing in the field and ensuring that all of your customers are being covered, right? Element, as you guys are well aware of by now, is URL based or is an online platform where you guys can see this information at any given time. So you don't have to be in the office in order to in order for you to verify that all this work is getting done. All you need to do is log into LMN. And again, as long as you've got internet connection, whether it be Wi-Fi or hard connection, who uses hard connections anymore, but you know where I'm going with this. As long as you have access to the internet, all right, you guys can have access to your LMN account. And of course, you're going to be able to see all of that information. So you'll be able to see where your crews were, how many job sites were done, potentially any job sites that were missed, and of course, anything that was repeated depending on the overall snowfall. So we want to provide you guys with the freedom to view your snow removal operations from anywhere. And guys, it's not just for snow, right? You guys can do this for any type of work, but we want to make sure that you guys realize that snow is going to happen and you don't necessarily have to be in the office for you to be able to see how your crews or how your company is operating to gauge how you guys have actually completed all your work, right? So we want to give you guys a good understanding that LMN is going to be that key partner, if it were, okay, to give you guys the overall view of your overall operations, snow, maintenance, design build, right? Whatever the case may be. So all that being said, let's do a very, very quick recap into what we've covered off so far in our 3 sessions, or in our first 2 sessions, and how we got to session number 3. So to share my screen with you guys, let's just do a brief little recap on what we've covered thus far. So in session number 1, okay, we walked you guys through creating your actual maintenance estimates or your snow estimates. So if we go into our estimate list and take a look at our service estimates, we can actually pull up that job or that snow proposal that we created for good old Joe Walters. Now, when we take a look at this actual proposal and we take a look at the services and pricing tab, remember in session number 1, I did show you guys, or we did show you guys, all right, that you have the option of creating multiple billing types or multiple options for your customers, and then the customer can then choose how they want to actually go ahead and pay for the services that they're contracting you for. So in this case, taking a look at this proposal, remember we built out a seasonal option, we built out a per visit option, and we built out an hourly option. And with each of these options, the customer has the choice. Do you want to pay by the season, where we're just going to forecast how many visits we're going to do over the course of the season, and we're going to bill you monthly for our snow removal work? Or do you want to pay by each individual visit? Now, again, it's entirely up to you guys how you want to structure this. You can do a discounted price or maybe a lower price per visit on a seasonal contract than you would on a per visit base to maybe entice a contract based or a monthly contract based payment schedule. Whatever works for you guys. I'm not here to tell you how to run your business. I'm just here to show you how LMN can help you with your business. Now, the last option is obviously T&M or hourly, right? Where you're charging your customer for the amount of hours that are going to be worked on the job site, plus the cost of plus the charges for any material and equipment that are used on that actual job site. So we want to keep things really nice and easy. Now, of course, in this situation or in our example this week, we've actually shown you that Joe has actually decided to go with a per visit model, right? Or a per visit contract where we're just going to bill him out a straight price of $250 per plow or per push in this case. Now, one of the other things that we mentioned as well in session number 1 is ways that you guys can take an estimate that you guys have created and use it for multiple customers moving forward by creating an actual template that could be repeatably used for multiple customers over the course of your season. So in instance, okay, Joe Walters, okay, no surprise here, is a residential customer, right? He has a house, right? And we're there, or he's contracting us to clear his driveway, right? Pretty straightforward and pretty simple. So in this case, we want to basically copy this estimate and keep it as a template moving forward. So if I go back into my estimate list or into my service estimate list, I can look up the actual templates, or I can go into my CRM and look up my template customer contact profile. and see all the estimates that we've created. But we already know that we've got a residential snow removal estimate that we could use over and over and over again. Now, one other detail that I may not have mentioned in our first session when it comes to creating estimate templates, we did talk about divisions and setting up your actual divisions appropriately so you can track and gauge how your actual estimates are measuring up against what you forecasted in sales for your upcoming year or your current year. One thing that you guys should be made aware of, or that is very, very important for you guys to follow along with, or at least make note of, is when you guys are creating estimate templates, okay? Again, remember, these are going to be estimates that you can copy to customer, to customer, to customer, and so on and so forth moving forward. It is a very good idea. Well, let's put it this way. It's the only idea, okay? That when you guys are creating that estimate template, you do want to make sure that you exclude it from your statistic or exclude it from your stats, okay? Now, if you guys remember correctly, when we set up your division, okay, we allocated or we indicated, okay, that we have a certain sales goal that we want to meet with our overall snow division, right? It was $385,000. Now, every single estimate that you guys create is going to be counted towards that $385,000 target. Every estimate that gets created is initially allocated or indicated in a pending status, meaning this is potential revenue. So if you take a look at your original divisions, okay, and if I go into my dashboards and I take a look at my individual divisions, for instance, if I look at my original snow and ice division, and we're actually going to go and look at our estimates by division, okay? And if I scroll down to snow and ice, remember that I had a target of $385,000 in my sales forecast for this upcoming year. When I look at my closing percentage of 80%, I know that in my company, I need to have $481,250 worth of estimates pending, okay, in my account in order for me to hit that target based on that 80% closing ratio. Now, when you guys are creating templates in LMN, you do not want those templates to affect these numbers, okay? So this is why I'm just kind of giving you guys a little bit more detailed information that when you create template estimates in your LMN account, it is always best. It's very important, okay, for you to make sure that you're excluding it from your stats. That way your templates won't populate any information in regards to this $481,000 estimate or pending estimate target, okay? We don't want to throw your numbers off. So let's make sure that everybody understands that when you're creating estimate templates in LMN, please make sure that you exclude them from your stats. And any estimate that you copy from that template for an actual customer, those ones you do not exclude, okay? You want that to count towards your overall estimate goal tally, okay, as you go through things, right? So just keep that in mind as we go through. And if you have any questions about that, please feel free to hit the chat button at the very bottom of your screen, and I can elaborate a little bit further, although I think at this point, the point is probably pretty very clear. So if I go back into my proposal, okay, and take a look at that service estimate that we created for as a template, right? We have made sure that we are excluding it from its stats, which basically means any of the services and pricing that we've got included in this will not be tallied up against our overall estimate totals, right? We want to keep things really nice and easy, okay? However, the estimate that we created for Joe, okay, that one is being counted towards our numbers, right? We are not excluding it from our statistics, which means it is being counted towards our overall estimate count and estimate dollar amounts. So that way, when Joe does approve this estimate or agrees to our proposal in whichever shape or form, it is being counted towards our overall revenue targets, right? So keep that in mind moving forward. Now, once this job or once this estimate has been approved, okay, we can then go ahead and create our job from it. So again, if we go into our job list and we take a look at our most recently created jobs, sorry, pardon me, we can see here that we've got our 412 Toynville Road snow and ice job that we created from our original estimate, created yesterday, right? So we look at our 412 Toynville job and we can see all of that information. Now, additionally, when you're setting up your actual jobs, okay, again, so now we're kind of recapping. We've covered off session number 1 as a recap. Now we're into session number 2. When we created our job, in the first section of the actual job or under the job info and settings page, okay, we then start looking at some of the basics or some of the fundamental applications that you guys need to set up in the actual job. Now, most of this will be done for you, but there are a few things that you guys are going to have to do manually. The first thing is taking a look at your assignments. So in this case here, if I look at the salesperson and estimator, I want the revenue that's derived or that's driven from this job to be counted towards the numbers or the goals that our salesperson and our estimator have set by us, the administrators, or by the company. Additionally, if I know that Aliza is the accountant project manager, I want her to be able to count the revenue that's driven from this job towards her overall goals or target so that she can get her bonus. Likewise with our primary crew lead and our foreman, right? They're going to be doing all the work, so they should get credit for doing that work. Now, finally, we also want to make sure that we're accounting for the revenue that's being driven from this job to our overall division, right? So if we look at our snow and ice division, again, any invoice that's generated or after every visit that we've done on this Joe Walters job site or at 412 Toynville Road, we want to ensure that that's counted towards our overall snow and ice division, right? Keeping things really straightforward. But again, not too complicated, pretty straightforward and pretty easy. But again, just wanted to kind of just give you a little brief recap as to what we're covering on that one. Now, in session number 2, not only did we create the job, but we also started putting together a digital snow binder for our crews. If you guys remember, when we went into our tasks and we set up our crew notes, each one of the tasks that we looked at instructed our crews that they need to consult the digital binder for any snow removal information pertaining to this job site. So again, that was the crew note that was there. So when your crews clock into this job site, they know where to look or to get the actual information. So when we click on cancel, because again, don't need to edit anything, this basically pulls in or provides them the information that they're going to need, okay, in order to be efficient when they're clearing this actual job site. So here we know that at Toynville Road, we've got the overall area to be cleared, snow pile locations, the job site view for overall reference, and the snow pile locations at a street view. So again, we've provided the crew with the information that they need to get the job done and to be more efficient when they're actually in the field, right? Let's keep things really nice and easy, okay? Now, from there, once you've actually got your digital binder set up, you want to start putting it into your individual job groups so you guys can organize or make it easy for when your crew's mobilized for an actual snow event. So in this case here, if I went into my overall job groups, we created 2, okay? Now, one I already had existing as the snow division. So I put this job into my snow division job group so that if I do want to run services and material reports or task and material totals or whatever the case may be, or any of the various job reports, I can report on my entire snow division if necessary, or I do have the ability to run a report based on this particular route of customers or this particular area of snow removal contracts by looking at snow route number 1. Right? Again, many reports that are available in LMN can be run either by an individual report, which would then, in each individual job site, which would entail you guys to then consolidate all that information and spend that time putting all that data together, or run a report by the job group. So you can run a report on all of those actual jobs. So it keeps things really nice and easy and minimizes the amount of time that you guys are trying to get or are starting to, extract the data from, okay? Now, a routed job group is also going to give you guys another little benefit here. So if we take a look at our actual job groups and we take a look at snow group number 1, right? I'm going to scroll down here to snow route number 1. When we take a look at snow route number 1, and for some reason I put in a maintenance job, so I'm going to just delete that one out of there. But anyway, when we take a look at snow route number 1, we know that we've got a certain amount, or we have a number of customers that we've been contracted to clear in a particular area. And of course, if you take a look at the mapped route, okay, and again, we kind of covered this off in session number 2, we know where we're going to start and finish our actual snow removal routing from our actual yard. And then if I go in, I know that we're going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Really nice and easy. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then head back up here, 11, 12, 13, right through 18, and then start shooting back to the actual office, right? Again, keeping things really nice and simple, right? They're all in a very, very logical, laid out, optimized order. Minimize drive time, maximize job site productive time, right? Realistically, what we're looking at. So when we save and close that, this is now set up for our crews in the field. So we don't have to worry about scheduling this, okay? Now, the other good point that I wanted to bring up with you guys, or the quick little reminder that I wanted to bring up as well, is when it comes to snow removal, okay? Like I mentioned in session number 2, you cannot schedule snow, okay? It's not something like lawn care or irrigation startup and shutdowns or fertilization applications or anything like that, which happens when the weather's fairly nice outside and so on and so forth. Snow is essentially very unpredictable, right? We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know how much it's going to fall. We don't know how long it's going to fall for, right? So realistically, you can't just say, oh, okay, we're going to go every Wednesday. Well, you don't know it's going to snow every Wednesday. And if you look at the past few years, at least here in Toronto, okay, we haven't got a whole lot of snow lately, right? Over the past couple of years, it's been very few and far between. But however, when we do get those snowfalls, it comes down like crazy. But to be fair, it's definitely not like it was, 5, maybe even 10 years ago, where it was a consistent once a week, twice a week, whatever the case may be, right? It does seem to be changing. So again, job groups and routed job groups is probably your best bet when it comes to actually handling snow removal operations, because those jobs are laid out, they're planned, they're set, they're optimized. And if a snow event should actually happen, your crews are ready and they're prepared for it, right? Keeping things really nice and simple, okay? So that's essentially where we're at where we've got to at this point. And if you guys remember, in session number 2, I showed you guys the Element Crew mobile app and how your crews can actually see the actual route that they need to follow and so on and so forth, right? And in that structured or in that optimized order. So at the end of an actual snow event, what ends up happening is your crews get mobilized and they actually go out and they tackle their route. Now, taking a brief little look, we're going to take a look at a timesheet that actually was recorded for a snow event using snow route number 1. So as an administrator, I can basically look at my timesheets that have been submitted, and I can see that my crew was out at 5 o'clock in the morning yesterday, where they were handling snow removal for 1796 Pine Grove. They spent some time driving, then they went over to Mark John's place, then they spent some time driving, they went over to Pro Hill, and so on and so forth. And of course, they did hit, okay, good old Joe Walters, right, where we can see at 412 Toynville Road, they were there from 7:45 to 8:15, right, 2 employees, and we can see that their actual property was cleared, right? At the end of the day, they came back to the yard and they did some load and unload and they finished their actual route, right? So really nice and easy. But what comes next, okay? Well, essentially, this now brings us to the topic or the finer details of our session today, invoicing with LMN. So what we want to do for you guys is make things really nice and easy when it comes to invoicing for all this hard work that's actually been done in the field. We want to automate your invoicing. So rather than you as an administrator or maybe one of your colleagues that's been tasked or it's their responsibility to put together the invoices, we want to automate this as much as possible. Remember, your crews are the ones that are in the field doing the actual work, and they're the ones that are going to tell you what they did, how long they were there for, and so on and so forth. So let's automate your invoicing as much as we possibly can so we can instantly generate your invoices from an actual timesheet that's been created out of Element. Now, with invoicing, there are 3 different ways you guys can invoice, all right? And of course, we talked about this in session number 1, where you guys can do monthly payments or what we call seasonal based payment methods, where you could basically forecast how many visits you're going to do, sum everything up as a total, and then divide by how many months so that your customers get one simple invoice every month covering all of their actual snow removal visits. Now, Joe here, now he selected or he opted in for our per visit billing. And if you guys remember, services in Element or service types in Element do 2 fundamental things. First thing is they're used for scheduling out your work. Now, although we're not technically scheduling a snow removal visit, the service also does a second thing, which is basically dictates how that service is to be charged or invoiced, which is per visit in this case. So again, when your crews actually complete the individual service and say what they actually did, that will tell Element how this needs to be built. And of course, because you've actually set the service up or the service type up correctly, it's automatically going to generate that invoice for you. And the same goes with hourly billing. So when you guys set up an actual service to be billed out by the hour, Element will track the punch in time to the punch out time, figure out how many hours or how much time has been accrued, and bill out accordingly. So if you charge $20 an hour and you've only been on site for 45 minutes, it will only bill out for $45, right? Keeping things really nice and straightforward. Now, the final point to this, or the final key factor when it comes to invoicing with Element, is instant payments. So you guys, once you've actually generated your invoices, you can approve those invoices, send them to your customers, and of course, export those invoices over into your QuickBooks account for your accounting records, as well as the actual payment records that you guys will be receiving if you guys are using our Element Pay feature and automating or doing online payments with Element, right? Keeping things really nice and straightforward. Okay, so again, invoicing with Element is that final piece of this messy, cold, and wet puzzle. All right, so what are our best practices when it comes to invoicing with Element? Well, number 1, make sure that when you guys are invoicing or setting up your Element accounts, that you turn on our online payment feature. Okay. Now, the online payment feature is a add-on with many Element subscriptions where you guys can subscribe or basically start utilizing our Element Pay feature. Element Pay allows your customers to pay virtually or online, right? Just like they do with their Netflix account or their Amazon Prime account or their Disney Plus account or whatever the case may be, right? We're used to online billing and online payments. So again, the Element Pay feature, and if you're interested in the Element Pay feature, please let me know. Hit the chat button, and I'll give you some direction on how you can find out more about it. I don't want to go into it too much today because I'm sure with many of our live virtual trainings, you probably have it drilled into your head by now and what that will do to you or do for you. But again, if you're interested in a little bit more about Element Pay, let me know. Another key best practice when it comes to invoicing with Element is, again, when you guys are creating your original estimates at the very beginning, please ensure that you're setting up your contracts, okay? If you are setting up monthly or seasonal billing, please set up what your monthly payment schedule will look like. If you're doing hourly or per visit or per push billing, all you need to do is just turn that contract on, okay, in your original estimate. This will allow you guys to have a job that's already set up for invoicing and not having to worry about an associate or colleague in your company having to do that work for you, okay, or for the company. Now, this in turn will allow you guys to generate multiple invoices at once to, again, make you more efficient, but more importantly, help you to save time. The last thing that you guys want to do is generate invoice by invoice by invoice by invoice. So what you do want to do, however, is ensure that you guys are actually generating all of your invoices at one given time. So again, rather than doing things one by one, which is not efficient, we want to ensure that you guys are generating all the invoices that are required to be sent out at once, right? Keep things really nice and easy. It's up to you if you want to do these on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis. Again, entirely up to you. Finally, use the auto charge option to automatically charge for pre-authorized credit cards with certain amounts. Now, in the instance that we've been talking about here with Joe, all right, Joe has agreed to a $250 per push snow removal service from our company. So Joe, being the nice guy that he is, in his customer contact profile or CRM contact profile, has agreed to do auto charge. Now, with that, we can basically set up an auto charge amount of, let's say, $300. So in this case, if we have a $250 invoice that we need to send over to Joe, well, what this will allow us to do is simply free charge or auto charge his card for that $250 snow removal amount. That way we're not chasing down Joe to actually pay his invoice, right? Let's keep things really nice and easy. So the auto charge option in LMN and with the LMN Pay feature is a time saver, but it's more importantly, a cash flow improvement feature. So again, by having your customer set up an auto charge option or agreeing to an auto charge option, okay, it allows those invoices under a certain amount threshold to be paid automatically and quickly. All right. So again, those are our best practices when it comes to actually invoicing with LMN. Now, how do we get all of this set up? So essentially what we need to do, guys, is we need to hop into our LMN accounts and take a look at our customer portal and our portal options. So in your settings menu, under your portal and payments options, okay, what you guys want to do in this case, all right, is basically set up, okay, how you want to actually invoice your customers. Now, excuse me, when it comes to the portal and payment setup, it's very, very straightforward. Okay. Again, we've talked about customer permissions in some of our other live virtual trainings. And in this case here, we want to focus now on our online payment feature. So when you have this feature enabled and you have a merchant account set up, maybe you've gone through your LMN Pay setup process with one of our associates here at LMN, whatever the cases might be. But once all that's done and you have your merchant ID and you've set up or you've indicated what currency you're going to be charging in, okay, you can basically enable that online payment feature. In addition, with all of your CRM contacts, you can enable this for all of your customers by activating this feature in bulk. So now all of your CRM contacts will have this option or this ability to pay all their invoices in online. Or again, you can select certain individuals or certain CRM contacts at will. All right. Again, it's entirely up to you. Now, we would recommend that you activate all of your customers in bulk, right? Does to make things really nice and easy. So if I were to take a look at Mark Johns, for instance, okay, I'm going to use him as an example because I do know that Mark Johns has auto pay turned on. So if I look at Mark Johns' account or the Johns residence, okay, when I look at their customer portal application and take a look at their permissions, okay, I do have the ability, or under portal users, I do have the ability to see that basically their account with this credit card number has auto charge enabled up to $500. So any invoice that I send over to Mark Johns in this case, or to the Johns residents for their property, will be paid, okay, automatically, right? I don't have to chase them down. I can send the invoice out, it gets automatically charged, and it gets automatically paid, right? And I get that payment record. So it keeps things really nice and simple for me. I'm not saying that every customer is going to agree to this, but it's worth it to you as an actual landscaping contractor or landscaping company to have this conversation at the estimating phase or at some point in your initial conversations with them to basically say, look, we're going to be doing your driveway anytime it snows. We'll be there with zero tolerance, meaning, if it starts to snow, we will be there. We'll clear your driveway for you. We'll come back if we need to come back, and so on and so forth. Would you be open to an auto pay format where your customer, or where you, rather than receiving an invoice and then having to manually pay it, we just auto charge your credit card? Well, and again, it's not a difficult conversation to have, but it's a good conversation to have. All right. Now, how do you guys actually go about invoicing? Well, essentially what you guys want to do now is start to use the actual generate feature in LMN to generate all of your manual invoices, okay? And again, if I want to generate all the invoices that were accrued or that should be billed out for that run that we just did on yesterday in that snow run, I can literally go to that actual date and pinpoint that start and end date, okay, for the actual snow removal work that we've done, right? And here, by clicking on update, okay, I can see all the actual jobs that were completed. So if I look at Joe, for instance, I can see here that on Tuesday, September 3rd, okay, we did a snow removal per contract at 1. And of course, we've got our overall visits. If I want to stretch this out a little bit, I can, right, by going from August 1st to September 4th and then clicking on the update. And again, rather than just generating that one invoice, I've now generated that entire month's worth of invoices, right? Very, very straightforward. So again, not just doing one at a time. Now, one of the other things that you guys may want to consider doing as well is to make your invoicing a little bit easier by creating what we call an invoice group, okay? So again, very, very straightforward, simple concept, okay? Just like job groups with standard job groups or routed job groups, you guys can create invoice groups to make your invoicing more organized. So again, you can create an invoice group for all of your maintenance jobs, an invoice group for all of your snow jobs, and so on and so forth. So that way, when I want to actually invoice just my snow customers, I do have the option of, rather than generating all my invoices, whether they be maintenance, design, build, and snow, okay, I do have the option here to actually invoice based on just my snow jobs. So again, I can scroll through my list of invoice groups. And if I do have an actual snow job group, okay, I can do snow removal. I can do snow removal by depth. I can do snow removal per visit, okay, whatever the cases might be. So keep yourselves organized, okay? And in your actual invoice tool itself, there is the ability for you guys to create as many invoice groups as you want, right? Again, it does keep things really nice and easy, but more importantly, it keeps things really nice and organized, all right? So in this case here, I want to basically just minimize my list here, and I'm going to go September 1st to September 4th. Take a look at all my invoices that need to be generated, right? I know that I've got Marcus Crescent for some snow and ice. I've got 82 Turnhouse with some maintenance. I've got another snow and ice job here, and so on and so forth. So in this case here, I only want to generate my 2 snow and ice invoices. So in this case, Coinville and Marcus Crescent. Once I've selected the invoices that I want to generate, I can click on my invoice run and create a run of just those actual invoices. And in this instance, or in this example, I'm only generating 2, right? Keep things really nice and easy. One for Arden Scott on the 1st and one for Joe Walters on the 4th, right? Really nice and easy. One for $16.37, one for $282.50, right? Again, that's the per visit charge of $250. Okay, plus the applicable taxes, okay? And in this case here, we know that LMN Academy was the actual contracted salesperson, But in this case, it was actually Chris that did it. So we're going to indicate that it was Chris at 100%. Okay, and we're going to delete the Element Academy allocation on this one. All right, so we'll delete that one. We're going to click on save. Now, with all invoices that you guys are generating in LMN, okay, before they can be sent over to the customer, they do need to be approved. So again, once an invoice is generated in a pending status, this is where you then have the options to make certain edits that are required, right? We know the account manager is Eliza, we know the salesperson is LMN, and of course, we know this is for our snow and ice division. We just didn't know who the original crew was going to be, or the crew lead was going to be working on this job. It turned out to be Chris, right? So really nice and easy. Once an invoice, okay, has been edited and you guys have completed it or validated or verified, you guys can go ahead and approve it. Now you can do this on a one-to-one basis. So every invoice, check it, approve it, or you also have the ability to do this in bulk by selecting all of your invoices and of course, update them or change their status to approved. Now, once those invoices are approved, they can now be sent over to your customer. So by clicking on that select all button again, we would prefer or recommend that you do this in bulk rather than one by one. So in this case here, if I go to update invoices, I can then send and publish these invoices to the actual customer. And rather than doing one at a time, I can now make sure that all my invoices have gone out to all my customers at once, rather than doing each individual one separately. Now, when you guys have done this, okay, if your customers are not on an auto charge, okay, they will receive an email notification that an email has or that an invoice needs to be paid, just like you do with your Enbridge or your Rogers Telecom or whatever the situation may be, okay? But for those customers that are on an auto pay feature, if you look in your invoicing tool menu, you can actually see some payments or a payment run that gets created for you. So in this case here, if I look at any invoices that are due within a certain date range, any customer that has a payment auto charge set up will be populated here. And all you guys will need to do is select all of your invoices and click on the payment run, okay? And what this is now going to do for you is essentially just automatically, through the help of Element Pay and Clover Connect, is basically allow all of those credit cards to get charged automatically, okay? And once that's done, all the actual payment records will show up in your payment file, right? Really nice and easy. Now, I can't show you this as an example today because, again, all of my customers are artificial. They're not real, right? Meaning they don't have real credit cards. And trust me, I'm not going to be putting my credit card in here just to show you guys how this works, right? But anyway, trust me on this one, okay? Essentially, all of these invoices, again, if they are set up with auto charge, it will automatically charge their credit cards if these amounts are below what their auto charge limit is, okay? Keeping things really nice and easy. Your payments will then show up in your payment record. So you guys can see all of your actual payments from, I can go back to, let's say June 1st, for instance, okay, that are still pending. Well, let's see here, maybe queued or exported to QuickBooks, right? So we can see all of these payments that we've received. And of course, we can export all of these records over into our QuickBooks account to make things really nice and easy, okay? So again, use some of the filters or some of the features that are available in LMN to help you guys with your snow removal operations. Make it really easy, excuse me, easy on yourselves. So that way you guys are spending more time doing the work, creating the work, selling the work, than you are at actually charging for the work, right? Keeping it really, really straightforward for you. So that essentially, guys, is a wrap, right? That is session number 3, invoicing with LMN. So to recap what we've covered today in session number 3, we showed you guys how you can turn on your customer portal and get it set up for invoicing. We showed you guys how you can generate invoices for your snow services really quickly and easy. We reviewed the customer portal and how customers can make payments either by receiving the actual invoice and paying that invoice manually, or okay, how they can set up an auto charge amount so that you can get those invoices paid automatically, and showed you basically how you can see those payment records in your Element account so they can be exported over to your QuickBooks account for accurate bookkeeping. Now, while I'm on the subject of Element Pay, okay, one of the things that you guys should be aware about is a current promotion that Element and Clover Connect are currently offering. When it comes to Element, okay, if you sign up with Element Pay and you transact $100,000 by the end of October, so it's going to give you roughly 2 months, okay, you will have the ability to receive a $500 credit on your December Element invoice, okay? Now, in conjunction with that, Clover is also going to sweeten the deal by basically adding another $300 if you transact $100,000 over the next 90 days. Okay, so again, that's $800 worth of credits back to you as a landscaping company. Now, if you happen to transact less than $100,000 through Element Pay for the first 90 days, we'll still give you $150 towards your actual your Element Pay services or charges. Okay. Now, if there are any questions about what we've covered off in either session number 3 or in all of our Element Snow sessions, please hit me up on chat or in our Q&A box. Please remember as well that if you guys want to learn a little bit more about some of the features that we've discussed in our Snow sessions over the past 3 sessions, please make sure you check out our live virtual training courses that are available every single week. So if you guys want to learn about invoicing, which is normally held on Thursdays, okay, these are available every single Thursday, okay, so on and so forth. If you feel that there was somebody that should have attended one of these Snow sessions, well, they can sign up as well. So again, check out your help and resources menu in your Element account and hit that live virtual training. Additionally, okay, always make sure or keep in mind as well that Element is currently on the road teaching 2 days of in-class snow training. So in many cities across North America, we've done Columbus, Ohio, we've done Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Sorry, geography is a little bit horrible. We're currently in Indianapolis, Indiana. Next week, we're going to be in Denver, Colorado. And the week after that, we're going to be in Markham, Ontario. So again, if you guys are interested in sitting down with us and learning in an in-person environment, please check out our 2-day Academy certification program for snow. Additionally, Mark Bradley himself is going to be doing some sessions virtually in regards to snow management, sales, customer care, operational efficiency for snow removal work on these listed dates. So the 10th through the 22nd of October. So if you guys are interested in this, check out our resources in our main website at goelement.com under resources, and you guys can sign up for our mastermind series. In addition to that, we also have our weekly industry sessions that are hosted by Mark, Mike, Jana, industry professionals in general, every single Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. You can sign up for one, you can sign up for all. So keep this in your in mind. And finally, always remember that if there was a feature that I was talking about today or in any of our snow sessions that you want to learn a little bit more about, job groups, estimates, job creation, standard job groups versus routed job groups, invoicing groups, whatever the case may be, you can always check out our help desk or our live virtual academy, right? So again, this is a way for you guys to learn at your own pace. So that all being said, on behalf of Element and the education team here at, Element, I want to thank you guys for joining me for our 3-part session on snow removal and how Element can help improve your work. Please, everybody, stay well. And if you're heading out into the field today, please stay safe. All right. And I look forward to seeing you at one of our other live virtual trainings very, very soon. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great day, and we will see you again. All right. Goodbye.